All right, everybody. So today I wanted to take some time and talk to you guys about what it's like to be an influencer and also how I managed to get my deals. Okay, so I just want to start off by saying thank you guys for joining me. Thank you guys for asking the questions that you guys have asked on my Instagram, and this is why I wanted to make a longer form video. Oftentimes when I'm on social media, I see these people that are like, I made $1 million last year from Instagram or from content creating and things like that. And I do want you guys to know that that is available, but it's not accessible to everyone the way that these creators put it out there. And I feel like that's extremely important for you guys to know just right off the bat. For those who don't know me, my name is Norris Frederick. I am a professional long and high jumper, and I represent the United States of America in major competitions.
Meet Norris Frederick, former pro track athlete turned successful content creator. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Norris as we break down and discuss the various strategies he has used to grow his Instagram following to over 300,000 subscribers in a short amount of time. We also talk about his experiences working with multiple companies by producing monthly content for them. Let's roll.
In 2014, I stumbled across Instagram from a friend. I was sitting at the track at Azusa Pacific down in Southern California, and she asked me if I've heard of an app called Instagram. Told her no, told her I had no interest, and she said a lot of athletes are getting into it, you should look into it. So that day, after being maybe like 3 or 4 minutes persuaded into this, I downloaded the app, made a profile, and began my journey into social media. I didn't know anything about it, didn't know how to maneuver it, didn't know what it meant, didn't know anything. And it was so long ago that it was before you could actually update video. And you couldn't even comment, you could just like. It was crazy. So over time, I found myself just posting random stuff. It would be the food that I ate. It would be the workouts that I may do in the morning or random things that I would see on the street. And I soon realized that there's no structure to what it is that I was doing. A lot of people, assumed at the beginning that I was getting a lot of notoriety because I was a professional athlete. And that may at some point be true, but a lot of it is the time that I put into it. The moment that I got 15,000 followers, I started noticing certain things. A company reached out. They sent me a message in my inbox and was like, hey, we really like what you got going on. Would you be interested in doing, like a partnership? And I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't even know what that means. I'm used to the word sponsorship because of professional athletics or endorsement, but never partnership. So they emailed me some gift cards and I went to the closest store and I bought these 2 beverages that this company asked me to do. And I ended up going back to the track. I'm now currently, at that time, I had moved back to Seattle. I'm sitting at the track and I told my coach, I said, Coach, take the photo. And I just put the beverage right in front of me. He took the photo and it was me stretching out. It was something so silly. He took the photo and then I ended up just going back to practice, knocking it out. That evening, I ended up getting home. And I looked at my messages again and they were like, this posted really well. What's your address? We were going to send you something. And I'm thinking to myself, like, they're going to send me a crate of this beverage. And I actually liked the beverage, which was crazy. So that at the end of that week, probably around like Thursday or Friday, I'm home, I go up and I check the mail and this company has sent me a check for $750. At that time, my entire mind had shifted as to what this actually meant for me in this space of social media. So I invested a little bit more time, a little bit more effort, a little bit more energy into it, and realized that there were more and more opportunities that were coming up. And the reason why I'm starting off with this story is at 15,000 followers, I got $750. At 15,000 followers, I wasn't verified. I didn't know anything about the space. I didn't even know if verification existed at that point. Well, if it did, it didn't for me. These other companies started coming in and asking for partnerships and things like that. And I was having the hardest time keeping up because in the sports space, you're not allowed to be sponsored by competitors. But on the social space, on the social media space, it was so new that there was no exclusivity to any of these deals. For example, Monday I could be sponsored by Nike, Tuesday I can be sponsored by Adidas, and then Wednesday I can be sponsored by Brooks. And there was no conflict of interest, which was awesome. I think the most important thing while maneuvering in this space A lot of people are going to say authenticity, staying true to yourself, staying true to what you believe. I'm here to say that that's not always the case. In my experience, and again, this is just my experience. In my experience, it's always the people that don't have access to the things that you're getting access to that are telling you to stay true to your brand. For example, there's this app called Clubhouse. And during the height of the pandemic, I was a frequent. I'd be on this app all the time. And I never met so many quote unquote professionals ever. And not to discredit people, social media isn't to me what it is to everyone else. And I understand that. And there were times where I would have like 200,000 plus followers and a person that had an account with 1,700 followers or less would tell me that I need to rebrand, that I need to restructure, that there's no brand purpose, that there's nothing, that my page just doesn't stand for anything. And at a certain point, I had heard it so much that I began to believe it. But it didn't stop the brands from coming in and telling me what it looks like or what I represent or what I could help their brands out. So I took to Clubhouse again. But this time I came in as more of an observer than a professional. So I was able to listen to individuals instead of just going in there trying to like push my agenda. And I wanted to hear what people were saying. And I'll never forget this. There was a time where a woman in Clubhouse, don't know her name, apparently she was on her way to work. So she tells me, she was like, well, if you put more video on your feed so people can get to know your personality, I think that would scale your profile, because right now your content is just like photos and people really aren't attached to photos. Somebody interrupted her and was like, have you even looked at his profile? He hasn't put a photo up for literally like 4 or 5 years at this point. And that's when it clicked. There are going to be so many people in this space pushing their own agenda on you without doing the research. So what I'm here to do today is to enlighten you guys on how to do the research. Here's what I've done. I built this entire social media empire around me by going after things that I use every single day. And most people are like, well, what does that mean? Think about it. If you wake up in the morning and you grab a bottled water, instead of purchasing that bottled water, partner up with a brand that supports that. So now in the process of you drinking this bottled water every day, they get promotion every day. It's a win-win for you and it's a win-win for them. I enjoy traveling, right? So the biggest thing for me was to figure out a company that can help support that. So I went after certain airlines, or I went after certain hotel chains or certain rental car companies to be able to help provide that. Again, it's easy for someone to look at me and the success that I've had on social media and say something like, well, all this happened because you're a professional athlete. At a certain point, there are tons and tons of other professional athletes that are much more decorated than I am, much more athletically successful and accomplished than I am. So what's the thing that's getting me these opportunities and not them? So what I started doing was I started aggressively going after certain brands that had nothing to do with my sport. And what I noticed is the amount of freedom that I was able to have, the creative freedom, should I say. For the larger portion of my career, I've been sponsored by 2 shoe brands. One was Nike, one is Asics. And those contracts are written up to the point where you can't be in competition at any point with these companies. If I'm signed to Nike and Nike makes sunglasses, I can't go to Maui Gym, or I can't go to Oakley, or I can't go to the Sunglass Hut. I would specifically only be able to wear the Nike supported sunglasses or eyewear. When it came to this social media space, what I realized is those contracts are not written. They're not written like that. So what I would do is I would partner up with a brand, and I treat every brand as if they're my number one, because they are. And I would ask who they work with or who they're in relationships with. And I would try to build a relationship with that company as well. Most people look at me and they're like, well, it seems like now you only post when you get paid. My response to that is, social media is a business to me. It's not a leisurely activity. And then I've also heard, well, like, people that support too many brands, they lose their authenticity, and then I begin to unfollow. My question to you is, nobody unfollows you every time you choose to go work your 9 to 5. It's just a part of your life at this point. I want to tell you guys the successful ways that I've had success in this space, but I'm interested to hear if you guys would like me to make a part 2 and what the questions that you guys have are. If it's how to make money, we could talk about that. If it's how to go after certain brands and companies, we can talk about that. Or if you're like, well, how much money have you made? Yesterday, I put on my Instagram, the biggest campaign that I've had over a certain period of time was $120,000. The shortest campaign that I've had that's had the biggest outcome was a 2-day campaign at $30,000. Look at those numbers or think about those numbers for a bit and realize how long it would take a person that's working a 9-to-5, just a regular 9-to-5, not a lawyer, not anybody else, but think about how long it would take somebody to make $30,000, how long it would take somebody to make that over however many months that it takes for that to happen. If you guys have any other questions, I'm always here. We can make as many YouTube videos as we need. I just need to make sure that I'm answering the questions that you guys are asking. So with that being said, please let me know and I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you.